Welcome back to Burn the Ship, the podcast we connect entrepreneurs, professionals to help you go all in on your business. I'm your host, Ezra Brown. Without further ado, I'd love to allow my guest to introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Cornelius, but you can call me Neil, Neil Dowdell, and I'm one of the managing partners for the Best Workplace and also the principal partner for the Nilius Strategy and founder for Nilius Spices. So,
Awesome, awesome. Neil, I appreciate you very much for hopping on the podcast. I know me and you've talked a couple times trying to get this all figured out and get a good time to have you come on and talk with us because we'd love to hear your story. But kind of give the audience paint that picture of what your journey's been like from that college day till the journey you've taken in entrepreneurship and being in the professional world.
man, my journey in management and leadership started fairly early. I actually don't remember a time where I had a full-time job there that was not a manager. I was always in
Right.
that supervisor role and management role. I was always doing something around training or in the human resource field. So I'll go back to my days at Passport. After college, I think it was around 20, 21, 22. I got that first, corporate role as a federal contractor. So I was a supervisor down in New Orleans for the New Orleans Passport Agency. And that's where I actually got that. I dipped my toe into the training and development space. So very familiar with operational improvement and process improvement. So from Lean Six Sigma, the project management. But once I did and trained my first class around customer service, I realized that, this was a space I wanted to learn more about. So I took a few years of upskilling into the training and development space and eventually made a transition into higher education, working for continuing education. So, as you know, universities have their institutions and then they have their continuing education departments as well. And that's how I got into the consultative space and learning more around the background that goes on when it comes out to delivering leadership and development training. Um, from there, that's when the seed was planted that I needed to start my own business. That's where the seed was watered on how to do it. So I started growing that network of independent consultants and other entrepreneurs that were out training. They were, leveraging their expertise, their knowledge to really, truly not just build a brand and business for themselves, but be those industry leaders. And I was working at LSU at the time, since we were talking about that earlier, go Tigers. And from that aspect, I'm a firm believer in relationships. There's only had one job where I've actually applied for online and actually got it. All the other jobs in my career have been through referrals, relationships, knowing someone. And so that LSU role came through a relationship from an old college professor, um, Craig Freeman. And so great. He knew me from MassCom. His next door neighbor was my director at LSU. I reached out to him and said, "Hey, this is when LinkedIn was new." And he was
Right
like,
when it
"Do
was
you know?"
popping, just getting going.
He said, "Do you know this guy?" He was like, "Yeah." So that referral led to that opportunity at LSU. And then when he left LSU, um, a referral from Emory. He actually knew someone at Emory University that was looking to hire in the continuing ed department. And I was thinking about, hey, I needed to grow my career, but I needed to be in a space, in a state that actually supported consultants.
Right.
And Atlanta has a large consulting community, uh,
Massive.
massive, where people lean into their skills and they grow and build brands and businesses for themselves. So I took a leap of faith. I left Louisiana. Um, my kids were still here. At the time, I was going through a divorce, but we were really still co-parenting and navigating those that travel schedule because I traveled back and forth from Louisiana to Atlanta once a month. I did that for like 2, 3 years. And once I got to Emory and I started learning more about the consultative space, how these consultants were leveraging their subject matter expertise to build their own brand and business,
Right.
because I was responsible for hiring them and
Right.
actually, hiring them. They become consultants, facilitators for our corporate clients at Emory Continuing Education. And from there, once I recognized the model and I realized that, hey, I could do this too. Um, Here I am building content, training people, working with those entrepreneurs themselves. And there was birthed the Nelia strategy. As you can see, one of the logos back here. I started the Nelia strategy because people were reaching out to me to come facilitate or to design projects or just leveraging my expertise and not knowing the market. Um,
Right.
from there, so now I have this network of consultants. I have this large network of consultants that I know, and we are just partnering with each other, really collaborating. Neil, could you help me here? Could you do this? So the brand was growing. Similar to how you reached out to me and asked about an opportunity to speak. People were asking me to speak and things. So that leadership and development space and the approach around experiential learning and making learning live and active and applying in real life in real time has
Right.
always been my approach. Um, and then probably it's about 2 years, COVID hit. So with COVID came other opportunities. For some people, that meant businesses closed. For some, that meant businesses grew.
Right.
Um, and business grew for me so much so that those partners that we were all leaning on each other through COVID to convert our in-person training and in-person services to virtual were
Right.
leaning more so on me to support them in doing that because I had the bandwidth. So eventually I ended up leaving Emory to work for myself full time. So I landed a few contracts on my own. Um, so I have two other business partners, Jonathan and Labrita, and we were essentially, I tell this story because it's funny. Jonathan was hiring me to subcontract for him. I was hiring Labrita to subcontract for me. And because we were double booking ourselves for certain things, not real, because, COVID was just all over the place. People just had
Right. And then if you were working in, especially in your space, if you were one of the ones that was out there working, you was getting booked up. Same with
getting
us,
booked up.
definitely.
Getting booked up all over the place. And so we were like, wouldn't it be great if we shared resources under one brand? So we created the best workplace, our partnership. We realized that we all had the same approach. We enjoyed working with humans. We truly enjoyed developing talent
Right.
in no matter what kind of talent. It doesn't matter if you have a technical training or talent that you want to do, all the way down to the leadership development space, communication, emotional intelligence, all those things. So we realized that we had content, we had drive and ambition, we had the desire to truly impact and kind of like our values is elevate, focus, and achieve. But we really wanted to focus on how could we help people elevate, how could we help them focus with intention and
Right.
achieve their goals. And that kind of defined the services that we offered underneath the partnership itself. So we birthed the best workplace during the COVID years so that we could be more strategic in our approach to client relationships, servicing our clients on a more holistic basis,
Right.
and really unifying all of our resources so that we could scale faster.
Right.
Because again, we still have the relationships of all the other consultants.
Right.
They were making referrals to us. They were like, "Well, Neil, I don't do such and such, but you know somebody that does this."
Right.
So here I am just serving as that middle person of, connecting resources and talent to opportunities and needs that are
Man, that's
out there.
awesome.
And so that's what we've been doing for the last 3 years, honestly. Um, the Nelia strategy still exists. It's taking a little shift into more of that business development piece. A lot of people reach
Right.
out to me more so for exploratory and thought leadership um, on that end and like business coaching.
Right.
So again, when you reached out, I was like, oh yeah, this kind of aligns with what I've been doing. So why not have a conversation and a dialogue together?
Right. No, absolutely. Because the best workplace sounds like you guys are pretty agnostic to kind of what you guys are doing in y'all space.
Oh yeah,
Um, but what'd you say like that ideal client is for you guys? You know,
ideal
what
client,
if you could paint that picture, what would that person be like? If you could choose who walks through your door, who comes up on the Zoom call, who would it be?
man. So that's if at first it was kind of hard trying to figure out who or paint that picture of your customer, that ideal customer.
Absolutely.
So we were looking at our customer base for a while, trying to decide like where is our focus. But what we realized is that it wasn't necessarily the customer we were looking for. It's really the people that they are trying to develop who we're really truly looking for. So um, we found that we want the underdogs. We want the people who do not get enough development, but they are there in the room. They're there in your company working
Right.
with them. So
The
we
person that
decided
might
that
not
we
raise
want,
their hand.
yeah, yeah. So we decided we wanted to focus on organizations that have maybe up to, if not more than 2,500 employees. It's a really
Hmm.
good niche for us. They have a human resource or an HR department and a focus, and they have the desire to build out their learning and development or a talent development arm. They just don't have the resources to. So those
Right.
are those small and medium-sized businesses that are growing. They're bringing on talent, but they realize they kind of need to upskill them as they bring them on to prepare for the growth that's going on in the industry. And they recognize that they have underserved populations, but they want additional external support. So that's
Right.
kind of been our ideal focus. It's not necessarily an industry, but it really is more so around the humans that participate there. So
Million
when
percent.
we focus on our industries, education being one, K through 12, um, we realized that the population that we want to develop would be the non-instructional staff, support staff. So that would be your paraprofessionals, your administrative staff, your bus drivers. So those they don't receive a lot of development. Uh,
Right.
so your
No,
teachers
it's
and your principals, they get the development, but that support staff doesn't really receive a lot of development. So
right.
um, creating um, we've been creating a program that we'll be launching in 2025 called the
Okay.
STAR Summit that's specifically meant for K through 12 support teams in education. Uh, so we've been putting the resources, we got it together. So we're launching, we actually have a client that'll be launching a customized version for their district um, in January, I believe. And then we'll be doing like an open enrollment traveling conference for those all for that for different districts, hopefully by the end of 2025.
Yeah, no, that's super awesome. What you guys do is super specific and a niche to where you know what I mean. It is really cool because you don't hear many people say that they consult in that CU space or, that's not like the specific place. God Almighty, that they're trying, that they're working in when they are consulting. Like they'll be like, oh, I'm gonna do roofers or I'm gonna do attorneys or I'll
Mm-hmm.
do chiropractors. That's gonna be my niche. Never really hear about the continuing education. I don't essentially, and I see people and business coaches, consultants. I talk to them all the time, and especially in my world of networking.
Yep.
I never heard them with like such a specific niche like this. I think it's awesome.
It is. I love and continuing ed is if you think about it, everyone is always looking to upskill or learn something new. Um,
Absolutely.
and continuing ed is normally where you land up. You either find yourself on a university website and you're like, oh, I need to learn how to be better at my emotional intelligence and responding in the moment or managing conflict. I need
Right.
to enhance my leadership skills and things. So most of the time, you will land somewhere on a university's webpage at a continuing education department. And again, thinking about that and how do you upskill? Why are you trying to upskill? Mainly because you're either trying to grow your career, you want a
Right.
higher level role, you're really trying to cultivate that learning and innovation component. So just for that niche in the education piece, we realized that was an underserved market that that needs the upskilling, but also it's a talent pool. So there's a shortage of teachers around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Around the US, just specifically, there's a shortage of
Right.
teachers, there's a shortage of bus drivers, there's a shortage of all kinds of things. So if you think about how do I build internal talent to fulfill needs, it really is through developing the talent that's already there. And your paraprofessionals and your administrative staff, they're already there. They understand the culture, they understand the business. So it could be that, hey, if we start building and upskilling them now, maybe they would be interested in transitioning and filling some of those gaps that we
Right.
have already identified. And they're
Right.
already here. Wouldn't it be cool to have a paraprofessional move from being the paraprofessional to being a teacher? They're
Right. Yeah.
already
Because
in the classroom teacher.
that's already their end goal. That's what they're looking to do anyway. They just don't know how to get there.
Yeah. So how do we get there? So that's kind of like a niche that we've kind of been really trying to build out more. And then, um, we do a lot of things in the manufacturing, but that leadership development space and professional coaching is there. So even this one-on-one conversation we're having right now, could easily be a coaching conversation, just asking
Million
about your
percent.
coaches. Yep.
Because I don't know
Asking.
what I'm gonna take from this conversation. You never know what you may get out of the conversation. You know what I
Correct.
mean? It's just getting there to sit there and pick people's brains. You know what I mean? And building, like you said, building a network and having those people around you. Um, and then, what would you say? Like, what was like the hardest part about growing your business when you guys first started?
Ah, you go through the, maybe you don't. So you go through the understanding like, okay, oh, I need to build a brand. Oh, who are the relationships that we currently have? Because we basically merged three separate entities into one partnership.
Right.
So, that first year was like, okay, well, um, which client base am I moving into this partnership? Which ones am I keeping to my LLC or whatnot? Because that was a true conversation because, you needed to either submit new vendor information. And, I'm not going to lie to you. Some companies are like, no, I have this relationship with this entity. I'm not going to go back and redo all this paperwork for a separate.
Right.
So you had that piece there, but I think the main struggle was around branding. We've been representing ourselves individually as independent individuals for so long
Right.
that when it came down to being under one umbrella, it was kind of hard at first of being able to communicate that
Right.
message to our customer. And we're not marketing people. Again,
Right.
my area is talent development, not marketing and branding and communication. So that was
Right.
a that was a something we had to upskill ourselves on. Like we brought
Yeah.
in a
Cause
marketing firm to kind of help us, build a brand, build the right messaging for our website. And that was a learning experience by itself.
right.
And then when it came down to customer acquisition, um, I'm not going to say that was simple. I would just say that we had the base already. It really
Right.
was now about messaging and actually talking to them about the shifts and the changes. Uh,
Right, honing that message in to where it's like, hey, this is why I brought these two people in because I believe they have that same background and mindset that I do, and I
right.
think,
But the wonderful part with the best workplace is not just that you get me, Jonathan, and Labrita, but we also brought our extended team. So even under the Nelia strategy, I didn't deliver all of the work when it came down to training and facilitating or even instructional design. I had a bench or have a bench of facilitators, of business coaches and consultants,
right,
and talent development professionals that actually service there. So we merged our benches together. So now I have a team of roughly 30 to 40 industry professionals that diverse in nature, that have different backgrounds, and I have some that can move from more areas of expertise than you would know, because sometimes people will work with you, but they niche you into one area. They're like,
right.
"Oh, you're just in communication." But when I started asking those exploratory questions, "Oh, so you have a project management background?"
Yeah, like how did you go from
Oh,
telecom to project management?
yeah. You know what? I have this client that just asked me about project management course. Let's come do
Right,
this.
right,
So now you have those transferable skills that you're still able to get a fabulous consultant that's there in communication, but they can also speak to project management. They can
right. So they can
also help
relate
you
to
build.
somebody that has their same background, and then it breaks down that wall even more to make sure you get that business.
Yes, yes. So
That's awesome.
now you have a dedicated, as I call, now you're a dedicated learning partner. So
Right,
as that dedicated learning partner, our goal is to help you build your strategy and support your strategy, even if it doesn't involve us. Because
right,
again, we're there for the people. So if it doesn't involve us, but you still need that thought leadership or you just want to bounce some ideas out, reach out to us because we love and we're just passionate about that part there. But then we have one client right now that when they realized the bench that we did have of consultants to partner with, oh,
right,
now they're like, oh, well, we're doing this project here and then doing this project here and doing this project here. And we want to know, can we run all five programs in one day? Yes,
yeah,
because I have the talent to actually
yeah.
bring in to service in one
right,
day. Um,
right,
and not everyone's capable and have the ability to do that. And it's truly a relationship business. Um,
right,
I love my team and affiliate partners that reach out to us. They that we partner with. They provide a nice, good consultative conversation. They ask the right questions, and once they get the answers, we build wonderful, unique, customized things for and opportunities for our customers. It's not just a regular training where you come and sit. No, no, no. You get industry knowledge, current, up to date. You're going to be
That
on your feet practicing. You're going to have that dialogue, and if you don't leave with a smile on your face, you're going to leave thinking about why
right,
didn't I smile
right.
today.
So it's that boutique feel of what you guys are doing. It's trying to give people something that's not always there in your industry, just because it is usually one or two people consulting on 10 to 20 different jobs.
Yep.
And it's hard to keep 10 people happy on customer service. They're going to call you 3 or 4 times a week. But if you got a big team and you're taking care of people that way, it definitely helps grow your business. And that definitely segues me into my next question is going to be, you said networking, word of mouth, but what would you say that big pillar was, especially for you with the Neil strategy? What would you say was that helped you the most grow in the early stages of your entrepreneur journey? Like, what helped you grow your business? I know the word of the mouth, the networking, but was it going to events? Or was it, things like that? What kind of was it that
I would
kind of
say,
powered you towards getting that word of mouth referral?
um, really was. I told you I'm not a marketing person, but I'll tell you it's about branding. Um, so at the time that I launched the Amelia strategy, I also became the chapter president for the Association of Talent Development, the Greater Atlanta chapter, which is like at the time one of the largest chapters in the nation.
It's probably still big because Atlanta, we're very big here because that's
Yes,
I'm here in Atlanta, so we're big
yes,
on stuff like that. Like we do the BNIs, the connectives, anything like that.
right. So taking on that volunteer role actually helped elevate my brand because now I was one of the talent development leaders in the state of Georgia, unknown to myself. But then I had people reaching out because again, we're still in COVID, so people are looking out to try to figure out like how do I transition to a hybrid environment? How do I find a facilitator that can actually facilitate virtually, but then also translate the content to in person? Because engagement in a virtual environment is different from an engagement when you're doing things in person. You
Right,
can't tell people to you know raise your hand on camera. You can do it, but there are features that now when you raise your hands that pop up as well. So again, but Zoom wasn't that up to date at that.
right.
So it was really thinking that through. And so they were reaching out to ATD, Greater Atlanta. A lot of the businesses in the state were reaching out, asking those questions. And here I was responding to those questions. And of course, what do you do when you meet someone you don't know? You immediately now go to their LinkedIn profile,
Yeah,
go do a
yeah.
little
That or you go
research.
look them up on Facebook,
Yeah,
Instagram, wherever
yeah,
you
you
wherever you
find
can.
some social media. So that was one of like the catalysts that really kind of like helped build it. It was through my volunteer work. It wasn't through any marketing. It was grassroots. My volunteer work really truly helped build my brand. And
Right.
as the chapter president of one of the largest chapters in the nation, and so even the other chapters reached out. Oh, I heard y'all did this program on X, Y, and Z. How could we do it here in
Matter of fact, you're
California?
talking to the guy now.
Yeah. So then it was like, well, you know what? Hey, let's talk about this here. Let's do that. So it was really serving and volunteering to support our members that kind of helped me grow my brand, not grow in sense of business, but grow in sense of building trust.
Just organically grew itself.
It was an organic build of trust, knowledge sharing, um, collaborative conversations that then sometimes turned into, well, Neil, I have a bigger project that we now need to bring in a consultant to come help us with. So, do you have any referrals? And of course, here I am, not referring myself, but referring my members
Right.
and volunteers that other consultants that are in the chapter. Like, well, yeah, I know it's such and such. And then one of my clients is like, well, I was hoping you would say that you wanted to do it, Neil. And I was like, oh, I forgot about that part. Again, I'm here to serve. So I'm thinking
Right.
about how I can help other people.
Right.
I was like, well, you can get me and them. So here again, I have a collaborative personality. I was like, yes, and you can get me.
Collaboration over competition is what we live by over here in our
Yes,
office.
yes. So, and that's how it happened. I was like, well, how about I support in this part, which is more strategy and design. However, the person that will deliver it is going to be this person here.
Right.
um, because one, either they want an opportunity to grow and develop, and again, I'm going to be there walking with them, or they are truly the subject matter expert that you're really truly looking for, and I'm just
Right.
here to shepherd the relationship.
Right. Absolutely, and that's awesome, man. What you guys are doing is super super cool, especially how you've built it and how you've grown it. It's been awesome talking with you. But what would you say? You know, our podcast is called Burn the Ship. So your burn the ship moment was a couple years ago, going all in, leaving Nelia Strategies, and kind of being the best workplace. What was the emotion? You know, you're going into business, which thankfully you had been around these people and doing business with them and consulting with them through time. So it was the wall was a little less. I guess the wall was a little less high to climb over. You know, you climbing over a 3 foot tall fence instead of the 8 foot tall one.
Yes.
But you know, what was that? What were those emotions like? You know, when you burnt the ship and went all in on the best workplace.
And so so I'm gonna say the ship got burnt in in phases. That first phase was 2019 when I decided to leave Emory, as my full-time opportunity there, and
Mm-hmm.
decided to consult for Cornelius strategy on my own. That I got this opportunity I couldn't turn down. It was kind of like a contract role. It paid a lot, and I was like, oh, this was like December 2019. Why not take the opportunity? It was a 5 month opportunity, but it actually yielded enough to be like, oh, well, I can just pay off all my debt and just chill for a minute. Well,
Right.
did the opportunity, paid off a lot of debt, chilled for a minute. COVID happened in March. Perfect. So I'm sitting there. That kind of did its own thing, and so therefore the Nelia strategy really grew. So I took that leap then. That was the first time I took the leap, but I had a nest egg, a safety net, or whatnot.
Right.
And then I think maybe about a few years as we were starting the best workplace, of course, there's that conversation around capital, and there was a lot of uncertainty around the election periods and so many things. Business
Well,
kind of
welcome,
pulled
welcome
back.
to life, God Almighty.
Yeah. So, I went back into the workforce again full time. But I knew it would probably be temporary, but I wasn't sure.
Right.
Um, and probably, during that piece, I realized that, you know what, I'm tired of working for corporate America. Um, you know, the role I had was great. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the people. However, there was so much more to me as an individual.
Right.
I was a business and enterprise by myself. So that I had a customer base still. I had all these things going for me, and I realized that I couldn't continue to focus on someone else's dreams.
Yeah,
And
somebody else's problem and dream that they're not even worried about on the back end. They're just worried about that check that hits while they're on their boat in Santorini. You know what I mean?
however they would like to do it, and passionate folks as well. But I realized that, what, I wanted a different type of life for myself that
Right.
allowed for flexibility, that
Right.
allowed for wellness, for me to focus on myself, my family, so that I can travel and see the world. And I realized I was not going to be able to get that in a 9 to 5. Would not, it's just not going to happen. I'm not going to be able to grow that wealth that I'm looking for my family, or to be there all the times and that I need to. So I was like, you know what? It's time for me, as you've been saying, burn the ship again, make that leap back over. So, this year I made that leap back into the best workplace and decided that, hey, I talked to my business partners and said, well, this is the new strategy. We're going to look into these things here. I'm going to dedicate myself full time, 40 hours a week or plus, to growing and building our business and growing our customer base. So I've been doing more conferences and speaking engagements and more networking events, and really just putting myself out there and writing more articles. And so I wrote for TD Magazine. I've been writing blogs and things as well. So really just kind of doing that part. And when I'll say it is freeing. The emotions behind it, in making decision was nervous, anxiety. I was worried. Because again, it's not just me. So I have a family that I got to take
Right.
care
Yeah,
of.
you got people that depend on you.
Yeah, I got people to depend on. So taking that leap itself was more so. Let me sit down and talk to God and see exactly, am I moving and walking in the right direction and way? If not, halt me and tell me to pause
Right.
and figure it out. And honestly, tell you the truth, I was worried about opportunity. but then opportunity showed up. I was worried about money, but then hey, some money showed up. I was worried about was this the right path, and then it was like, well, of course it's the right path. Here's your first federal contract. So so the signs were there. It was just me being confident in myself and my partners that we would be able to walk that path. And
Right.
so burnt the ship and decided that, you know what, for better or worse, I'm going to navigate these journeys
Yeah.
and get these opportunities. But I love the freedom. Love the
Yeah.
freedom.
That's awesome.
I can spend time like being able to see my son every morning before he goes to school without actually having to log on to a computer and do
FaceTime him or Skype him, do whatever you got to do.
yeah, it was definitely it has been a game changer for me on that part. Being able to go and travel, see my mom, because I'm a coach, so I can coach from anywhere,
Right. Yeah, you
especially
can coach
virtually.
anywhere in the world.
Yep. So that flexibility is like I tell people, it's like everyone should have a side hustle. If anything, America was built on small businesses. So if you're not everybody should be striving to be an entrepreneur in some way if they want that balance. I won't say it's
100%.
easy, because burning the ship is hard. I ain't gonna.
It ain't easy. I can tell you that.
It
It
ain't
ain't easy.
easy. It ain't easy. But when you start hearing that crackling from the burn, from the flames and whatnot, then it's kind of like, well, I can't turn back now.
You're damn right.
Yeah.
Damn right. But now, Cornelius, tell the people where to find you, like your socials and where to find you guys at.
Yeah, so you can find us website, thebestworkplace.com. It's very simple, thebestworkplace.com. We are on Instagram as well. LinkedIn, you can definitely find me on LinkedIn. You can look up Cornelius Dowdell. You can do that, and then even on those things. So LinkedIn is kind of like we do a lot more contacts. Um, Facebook is all right, but you can find the Best Workplace LP there as well. And then you can email us at hello@thebestworkplace.com. And so you'll get a response from myself or one of our team members as well.
Awesome, man. Cornelius, I appreciate you so much for coming on and talking with me. It's been awesome. What you guys do is incredible. You guys need to go check them out. Thebestworkplace.com. Talk to Cornelius, and he'll help you out. And he was got a plethora of knowledge, and he'd love to help you guys burn the ship.